I looked outside, I see the tree already collapsing. I told her to get the kids. We all went to the back of the house and just stood there to see what else was going to happen.
Tonight, trouble across Southern California. Powerful storms spawning a rare tornado and prompting swift water rescues. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The severe weather has left behind a mess across Los Angeles and Orange counties tonight. Video posted online shows how today's heavy rainfall led to a dramatic rescue. Crews in Orange County had to use a helicopter to reach a man who was clinging to branches along a raging creek in San Juan Capistrano. His SUV was partially submerged nearby after being swept away. Rescuers safely brought that man back to dry ground. In LA County, a tornado swept through a neighborhood in Pico Rivera this morning. A home security camera captured images of the relatively weak EF0 twister bringing down a tree. That tornado did bring down a number of trees right on top of homes and cars.
My kids were crying, right now I'm still a little bit shaky, but things like this happen. It was just crazy. Both of my cars are pretty damaged, so I couldn't get to work today. I work for a water company as well. Once I seen the water main broken over here, I wanted to fix it myself, but obviously I'm not at work today, so yeah.
And thankfully tonight there are no reports of any injuries from that tornado. This is a weather phenomenon that is unusual in Southern California, but not entirely unheard of. A short time ago, emergency managers in LA and Orange counties lifted evacuation orders near several burn areas. In Orange County, people were ordered to clear out near the site of the airport fire as large rocks and sections of trees and mud started coming down onto roadways. Similar issues prompted a temporary evacuation order near the Eaton fire burn scar in LA County.
We saw the rainfall rates expected higher than even the last storm we had in February. So we did have crews come out here. Tribeco Canyon Road here behind us was proactively closed at an abundance of caution because we knew something like this would happen with those rainfall rates. They removed the barriers, closed the road, and we had crews out here monitoring conditions all night. And sure enough, we see several inches of mud, large tree branches, and a few large rocks out there on the roadway. Obviously, unsafe conditions.
Today's storms also brought snow and even some hail. This video was posted online showing the scene in California's Central Valley. A lot of hail here. No reports of any damage in that part of the state. While in the San Francisco Bay Area, snow was falling on Mount Diablo today at an elevation of just 3,000 feet. And in some parts of the Sierra, there are reports of more than 2 feet of snow coming down just in the past 24 hours. As these storms head east, people in Arizona and Nevada are preparing tonight for a major shift in the weather pattern. This is a live look at the conditions in Flagstaff tonight. Strong winds and snow are expected to hit this area as well as parts of southern Nevada. For more on what to expect here in the coming days, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking these storms. And Mark, this unsettled pattern is going to continue at least through the weekend.
Yeah, that's the thinking, Alex. So multiple storms kind of lining up offshore. So it's March, and we should be talking about some rain and some snowfall. So take a look here at the conditions in Southern California. The rainfall totals, and these numbers really adding up. You can see about 0.83 in Riverside to Burbank, about 1.5 inches. You can see the radar coverage down toward Los Angeles, also approaching Oceanside from earlier today. These are all of the storm reports indicating some flooding or some heavy rain or some wind reports as well. This is from the West Hollywood area that during this morning at 4:14 reports of some roadway flooding near Highway 101. Now here's the radar imagery closer to the Bay Area out toward the Sierra. They have the winter storm warning, which has been extended through tomorrow night. And then in the Pacific Northwest, it looks like the cold pattern continues as well with some rain and some snow showers moving into portions of Oregon and Washington. Now, this was the scene today in Southern California. Temperatures in the upper 50s, a lot of wind. Looks like on the water there in the Pacific. For San Francisco, a bit of everything for the Bay Area. Some sunshine, some clouds, some heavy downpours, and some cool conditions. Temperatures only in the lower 50s. In fact, we're showing you the rainfall totals over the past couple days for the San Francisco Bay Area. These aren't excessive amounts, but still adding up in a few spots, especially in the Boulder Creek area. That's in the Santa Cruz Mountains, over 2 inches of rainfall. And then in Seattle, that 0.33, that's rainfall over the past 24 hours. So you can see a temperature today of 48 degrees. Here is the satellite satellite view, and we are showing you this next system coming on board. So this will be a rain producer for Northern California, approaching the Bay Area as well. As you can see the satellite, and some more storms lining up out in the Pacific as well. I'll be watching over the next few days. Right now it's 54 degrees in Phoenix, Las Vegas in the mid-40s, Los Angeles 53 degrees, and it's chilly for Portland and Seattle right now, temperatures in the lower 50s. So rain likely for Seattle tomorrow, more rain for San Francisco. In fact, a lot of rainy forecasts showing up here, even for Los Angeles, as you can see here, and then rain and snow out toward the Denver area. So here is the forecast model. This is your Friday morning, 6 o'clock, and then into the afternoon hours. The rain kind of increasing for portions of California, portions of Oregon as well. Have to keep an eye on the activity in parts of Arizona for your Friday forecast. And then into Saturday, it looks like this particular system is kind of focused up in the Pacific Northwest as we do start off the weekend. So take a look at the 3-day forecast, as you can see here with San Francisco. The rain making a comeback first thing tomorrow morning. Still some rain out toward the Los Angeles area as well. We'll cloud things up in the Phoenix area once again for tomorrow, and also out toward Denver. Looks like we'll have some more clouds on the way as well. So the active weather stretch, it will continue as we head into your Friday forecast.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. Mark, thank you. We are following a developing story tonight in Colorado. Video on social media shows passengers escaping a burning American Airlines plane at Denver International Airport. American Airlines tells Fox 31 the plane landed safely and was then taxiing to the gate when there was some sort of an issue with the engine. 172 passengers and 6 crew members were on board at the time. The airport says this fire has been put out and there were no injuries. We go now to Oregon, where police are investigating a shooting at a Tesla dealership outside of Portland, the second shooting at that same business just in the past week. Police were called out early this morning to the dealership in Tigard. They say someone fired about 10 to 15 shots, damaging the building and several cars. Last week, police responded to the same dealership after someone fired at least 7 shots, damaging 3 cars and shattering windows. No arrests have been made, and police are now trying to figure out if those 2 shootings may be connected. Several western states are getting involved now in a new lawsuit against the Trump administration. Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Arizona, and Colorado are among 20 states suing over what they say is the Trump administration's effort to dismantle the Department of Education. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays says the White House is targeting special needs students and at-risk communities for its own private interests.
Cannot fire half of the people responsible for these programs and pretend that nothing will change. That is not streamlining, that's sabotage, and that is why I once again sued the Trump administration.
The Education Department so far has not commented on that lawsuit. Today, a federal judge in San Francisco ordered the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of probationary workers who were all laid off in mass firings, including many here in western states. The U.S. District Judge ruled those layoffs last month did not follow federal law. The judge ordered workers be reinstated immediately at 6 different agencies: the Departments of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury. Labor unions and nonprofits had filed that lawsuit, and the White House has already filed an appeal. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to allow restrictions on birthright citizenship to partly take effect while the legal fight plays out. The president's executive order would deny citizenship to any child born after February 19th if their parents are in the U.S. illegally. It's been blocked by several federal judges. An emergency application filed today is asking the High Court to narrow rulings that were issued by district judges in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Washington, arguing those states lack the legal right to challenge the executive order. There's no word on whether the Supreme Court is going to step in. As President Trump's trade war escalates, Wall Street is experiencing its first correction since 2023. Fresh tariff threats appear to overshadow some upbeat economic data during today's trading session. One of the highlights was a report showing inflation at the wholesale level was milder last month than economists had expected. The Dow finished the day down 537 points. The Nasdaq dropped 345 points, about 2%. The S&P 500 was down by 77 points. That puts the S&P 500 in correction territory, down more than 10% from its recent record high. President Trump is also threatening a 200% tariff on European wine if the EU's proposed American whiskey tax moves forward. At the same time, the president is refusing to back down on tariffs for all steel and aluminum imports from Canada. During an Oval Office visit with NATO Secretary General, the president acknowledged those higher taxes could cause an economic impact here at home, but he believes the disruptions will not last long. President Trump's comments came just hours after he took to Truth Social to threaten European Union leaders with a 200% tariff on wine, champagne, and spirits.
To be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have.
We're extremely concerned. We really want to say to policymakers in the EU and in the US, enough is enough. We're done being used as bargaining chips.
The latest tariff threat came as the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, met with G7 leaders in Quebec for 2 days of talks. A longtime congressman from Arizona has died. 77-year-old Raul Grijalva died today from complications from cancer treatments. He'd been absent from Congress recently as he underwent those treatments. Grijalva was first elected to Congress in 2003, and the Democrat from Tucson just won re-election last year. Since there are more than 6 months left in his term, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs will need to call a special session to fill his seat. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a dash camera video shows a driver firing at another driver here in the West. Tonight, how cameras like these are becoming key to many criminal investigations. Also, Canadian snowbirds have some new rules to follow. Find out how this potentially could hurt businesses across the Southwest. In Colorado, one of the students injured in the Columbine high school shooting has now died more than 2 decades later. Anne-Marie Hochhalter was paralyzed after being struck by gunfire during that massacre in 1999. She died of sepsis last month, and the coroner ruled her death a homicide, saying her gunshot wounds were a significant contributing factor in her death. The death toll from the Columbine mass shooting now stands at 14. That does not include the 2 shooters who took their own lives. Tonight, we're seeing dash camera video showing the moment one driver opened fire on another driver in the San Francisco Bay Area. As KTVU's Ann Rubin reports tonight, videos like these are proving to be a growing part of police investigations.
Watch closely. This video, recorded by a Tesla dashcam, captures a shooting in progress. It happened Tuesday near Dalton Avenue and North Vasco Road in Livermore. Slowed down, you see the victim step out of his car, then collapse in a barrage of bullets. The shooter is back in his car and gone seconds later. And while authorities have yet to announce any arrests, videos like this one can prove invaluable.
And when you have this much availability of video evidence, you're seeing a lot more cases get prosecuted, and you're seeing arrests much more quickly.
That's been true in Oakland, where authorities have been seeking out Tesla video. In one case, to solve a shooting outside a beauty shop. In another, a murder near a market. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
But the reality is that there are cameras in many places today, including cars, including on people's bodies, for that matter. Watches. I'm wearing glasses that are cameras. Right now, I could take your picture by pushing this button.
And while this doesn't take the place of old-fashioned detective work, experts say authorities are increasingly looking to technology to make their case.
Cases no longer just rely on witness testimony because technology has been a game changer for prosecutors.
With this video, Livermore police are getting a good look at the shooter and his car. No word on what led up to the incident, but the victim is expected to recover. As for the Tesla driver, he says he's still shaken. 2 of the 4 shots fired hit his car inches from where he sat. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information on the case is asked to contact Livermore police. Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs have come forward with a new bombshell allegation about that surveillance video showing Combs assaulting his then girlfriend inside a Los Angeles hotel. In a letter to the judge in Combs's sex trafficking case, his attorneys claim that CNN destroyed the only known copy of that video. TMZ posted still images from the video online. CNN provided copies of the video to the defense team, but they claim the video was significantly altered and they now want it excluded as evidence.
The defense is saying it is not a fair depiction of what happened back in 2016, that day in the hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel here in LA. What they are saying is that the video, and you can see this when you look at the video, that it has been sped up in some places. They're saying also that that things have been edited out of sequence. The only way this video relates to the federal indictment is what was going on in that hotel room. Now, the prosecutors have alleged that it was a freak-off that was going on and that she was leaving the hotel, leaving the room, or fleeing the room, is how they would probably put it.
TMZ says it did reach out to CNN for a comment on the video, and they so far have not heard back. Combs has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and racketeering charges, and he remains in jail in New York. A judge in Utah ordered the release today of a man accused of a 1977 killing in Hawaii. This comes after prosecutors said they are not ready to proceed with murder charges. 66-year-old Gideon Castro was arrested in January at a nursing home in Utah for the second-degree murder and sexual assault of 16-year-old Don Momahara. Castro was interviewed during the original investigation in 1977, but was only linked to the crime through DNA in recent years. Prosecutors call this a temporary setback, and they say they intend to move forward with charges in the near future. Some business owners in Arizona are worried that new federal immigration rules are going to hurt their bottom line. Fox 10's Kenzie Beach reports tonight that those rules affect a lot of Canadian snowbirds who spend time in the desert Southwest.
There's going to be billions of dollars in tourism money that will disappear, billions of dollars of real estate purchases that will disappear. So hopefully it's not a long-term problem.
Canada to USA does a lot of the back-end work for snowbirds with a hub right here in Arizona. CEO Miles Symbolic says new registration requirements have some Canadians worried.
I think the first initial shock did scare everybody.
Starting April 11th, any Canadians staying longer than 30 days will be required to file registration paperwork. The biggest change will be to drivers entering the country, as air travel already requires documentation.
People are just going to be forced to make sure they register now.
A recent survey by Canada to USA revealed 75% of Canadians that took yearly trips to the Valley have decided to cut back or cancel their travels altogether, something that could have a long-term impact on the Valley economy.
If half the people start deciding not to come here every winter, that's a lot of money that could disappear from the economy in Arizona.
This comes as political tensions have risen between Canada and the U.S., but it's not the only reasons Canadians are selling their properties in the Valley.
It's partly because of the weaker Canadian dollar as well. The cost has just become too expensive for Canadians coming down. You know, when they first started coming down 10 or 15 years ago, the dollar was near par.
And that was Fox 10's Kenzie Beach reporting tonight. That new mandate also requires any Canadian over the age of 14 to be fingerprinted. A bipartisan group of lawmakers in Nevada is pushing a bill that would speed up the time it takes to get a sample ballot by almost a week. Nevada law currently requires sample ballots to be sent out by the third Saturday before a general election. Under this new bill, sample ballots would need to be sent out between the 4th and 5th Monday before an election. That's about 5 days sooner than under existing law. The bill was read for the first time earlier this week and was referred to the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a push to return to old times. Coming up, the airport here in the West that wants to make it possible for you to get past security without a boarding pass. And see how an entire community came together to rescue a kitten in Las Vegas. Salt Lake City International Airport in Utah is considering allowing people without tickets to greet passengers at the gates. Several airports in the U.S. have already adopted non-passenger gate access programs. But for most U.S. airports, ever since 9/11, those without a ticket have not been allowed past security. A spokesperson for the airport says they're also looking at offering open houses where the public can get through security to enjoy the airport's amenities.
Looking at doing that on a quarterly basis now. So we're looking at something coming this summer as well as in the fall.
As for greeting passengers at the gate, airport officials say it's still too early to determine when that might be allowed. Well, people in one Las Vegas community banded together to save a kitten that got stuck on a freeway overpass. Fox 5's Shauna Kalafi shows us how teamwork got that animal to safety.
This kitten was trapped on an overpass in downtown Las Vegas for at least 3 weeks. The rescue group Amor Peludo saw a post on Facebook and immediately started coordinating the rescue.
As soon as they called me, I drove myself over there. I dropped everything because I was like, I got to see this cat that's on top of this overpass and maybe be prepared to catch him if he falls.
They called Helix Electric, who rushed to the rescue. They used a boom lift and 2 nets to trap the kitten and bring him down to safety.
It was amazing. Yeah, I have never been part of a cat rescue. Just dropped everything else going on and went and got me a kitty.
All the neighbors said that they've been trying to call people and get people out there for 3 weeks, and nobody would show up, or firefighters tried and the cat ran off. So all the neighbors came out and were like crying, like the moms were crying because finally this kitten has been brought down.
Dr. Morgan Spalding at Boca Park Animal Hospital says when she got the call about Helix, she was prepared for the worst.
I mean, especially on the side of the freeway, I didn't know if we'd have, often you see pelvic fractures, you can have complicated fractures, respiratory difficulties. You know, you kind of expect for like almost hit by car to come in, but he was one of the lucky ones for sure.
And Helix was brought here to Boca Park Animal Hospital. We came to check on him, and doctors say despite his time on the streets, he's in pretty good condition.
He was dehydrated, he's very thin, but overall I think he's a pretty tough guy.
Now, since the kitten is only about 9-10 weeks old, that means that there's more kittens around that area and a mom. So we are going to go back and try to trap the rest of the family and also get them safe and potentially in forever homes also.
Shauna Kalafi, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Great job by everyone involved in that rescue. Finally, tonight, if you're up late, you might want to bundle up, head outside, and check out the sky. If the weather cooperates where you are, you might be able to catch a total lunar eclipse. NASA says the blood worm moon will be in full eclipse at about 11:30 Pacific time tonight. The moon will turn coppery red as the Earth casts its shadow onto the moon. It should be an incredible sight to see. Hopefully you can see it through the cloud cover. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. A quick reminder before we go here that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering for you across the West Coast at westcoastwrap.com, and stream our shows for free on your smart TV by downloading the Fox Local app. A beautiful shot here of the San Francisco Bay Area. Have a great night.